Hey viewers, someone asked me to make a video about Halo armor mods, and I couldn't exactly say no, now could I? Actually, I could've, and probably should have said no, but I didn't, so this is what we're doing. Now, the last time I played a Halo game was years ago, and I know exactly zilch about the lore, so I'll have to review these mods based on how good they look and how well implemented they are into Fallout 4, not by how lore accurate they are. Anyways, here's a list of the mods I'm covering today. I can guarantee there's mods out there that I missed. I'd estimate there's 2 or 3 on the Nexus I didn't find, and probably a dozen more on Discords that I don't even know about. But I can't cover everything, and I think I gathered a good selection. Which of these mods are actually worth using? It kind of depends on exactly what armor sets you're looking for. Maybe you want to be an ODST, or maybe you want to be the Master Chief or whatever. Instead of recommending mods, this time around I'll tell you what mods to exclude instead. The Elite Halo Power Armor Frame mod sucks. If you want to dress as an Elite, try the Elite Infiltration mod instead. I didn't review it, but I can't imagine it's worse. Blue Team isn't good either, there's better mods that add Spartan armors. I didn't like the semi-powered Infiltration Armor mod either. It has an intrusive overlay, the armor clips with your Pip-Boy, and it just doesn't look that good. But if you need the SPI armor in your game, go nuts, I guess. I also didn't like the Mark 6 Gen 3 powered assault armor. I think the other Spartan armor mods looked a lot better, and the power armor footstep sounds annoyed me greatly. Besides those, all of these mods seemed more or less equal to me. Every single one has broken dismemberment and is ridiculously overpowered, but that's par for the course when it comes to Fallout 4 armor mods. You'll have a pretty positive experience using any of them. Now that my weird inverse recommendations are out of the way, let's take a look at all of these mods in greater detail. First up, we've got Elite Halo Power Armor Frame. It comes as loose files, which might cause stuttering on low-end systems. You can craft the frame at any workshop under the special menu, but to get it to display properly when you enter it, you'll need to be wearing an Elite ring, which you can craft at a chem lab. Wearing certain underarmors can also prevent the Elite frame from working, so for best results you should enter it unclothed, aside from the ring. Once you've gotten this power armor frame to work, you'll be quite disappointed. You don't exactly move with the grace of an Elite, and there's still that very obvious fusion core sticking out of your back. The rigging is terrible, especially around the legs. The elbows are a bit messed up too, but that's less noticeable. The Elite face actually looks really good. Unfortunately, the armor is full of nasty UV seams. It's hard to believe this power armor is covered by multiple 4K textures. I've seen textures that are 512 by 512 that look better than this. The normal and specular maps fare much better, making the blue armor as shiny and reflective as one would expect, while the black under armor is appropriately matte and bumpy. And I hope blue is your color because there's no way to change the color of the frame. The only customization possible is adding armor pieces on top of the frame, and of course that will lead to clipping issues. I kind of like the idea of using power armor animations to add a new species to the game, but this mod doesn't look good and doesn't do enough with the idea. Second, we've got Infinite Armory. This mod adds a new crafting bench called the Infantry Armor Access Terminal, where you can craft all the shit this mod adds. This mod contains dozens of apparel pieces, and every single piece has multiple customization options, most of them cosmetic. There's enough variety here to outfit an entire squad of companions with unique gear for each person. Compared to our other mods today, these armors aren't as overpowered. They provide a reasonable amount of protection that's not much greater than heavy combat armor, but strangely there are no resource or perk requirements to craft or upgrade them. It would be nice if there was a balancing patch available somewhere to rectify this, but I don't think there is. In terms of appearance, there's little to complain about. The dense models and highly detailed 2K textures do a great job. Some outfits clip with the Pip-Boy in third person, but the screen is never blocked in first person, so a third person Pip-Boy remover would suffice to deal with the issue. Dismemberment is in a pretty bad state. Helmets will not disappear upon decapitation, and the arms will often have missing geometry where the gore cap should be. Legs don't seem to detach at all. This is to be expected, of course, but I wish limb dismemberment had been disabled entirely rather than left in a broken state. Despite my problems, this is a great mod, and there are plenty of add-ons to make various factions use these armors, so this is a great choice if you're trying to convert the world of Fallout 4 into the Halo world. Third, we've got Blue Team. To get this mod's 4 armors, you have to kill an NPC called Stephen Nightfall, who can be found just north of Vault 111. Killing him might be somewhat of a challenge at level 1. The armors look incredible with detailed 2K textures. Unfortunately, there's no customization options at all for any of them. This lack of upgrades really hurts the mod in my eyes. Also, all the armors have terrible clipping in first person with the vanilla Pip-Boy, so you'll need to use a handheld Pip-Boy with these armors, or learn to deal with your Pip-Boy screen being covered. Unlike our last mod, limb dismemberment has been properly disabled on actors that wear these armors, but the helmet doesn't disappear upon head dismemberment. These armors don't have unique world models, instead they take after the Brotherhood uniform, which is kind of lazy if you ask me. The Kelly and Linda armors work on female characters but are totally broken for males, while the other 2 armors seem to work okay for both sexes. These 4 armors all have very little physical resistance but tons of radiation and especially energy resistance. That's good for fighting the Covenant, I guess. Yeah, this mod is not so great. One nice thing I can say about it is it has a very tiny file size. It's not available on Xbox though, so that isn't much of a concern. Thankfully, our next mod, ODST Battle Armor, is available on Xbox, although there it has the name Project Helljumper, and it has less content and shrunken textures, but I'm sure you're used to that. On PC, you can choose between 2K and 4K versions. I chose 2K. The mod has 2 updates, one of which requires you to delete its ESP and replace it with an ESM, which is annoying but doable. There are 2 ways to acquire this mod's armors. You can either use its crafting bench called the ODST Hollow Bench, which can be built at any workshop, or alternatively you can travel to the castle. In its underbelly there is a completely new cell, full of ONI soldiers that you can kill and loot the outfits off of. Some people have reported crashing near the castle with this mod enabled. I didn't encounter this problem, but I imagine it can be fixed by deleting this mod's cell records in Fallout 4 edit. These armors are absolutely incredible looking. They have beautiful 2K textures. There's not as many armor pieces as Infinite Armory, but what's there is higher quality. The customization is much better too. There's plenty of options, both cosmetic and practical. You can even spell out a custom phrase using decals. If you have the Overlay Framework mod, you can add visor overlays to your screen too. These armors are super overpowered, but who cares? At least they require crafting materials and perks to upgrade. Amazingly, this mod's helmets actually disappear upon decapitation. That's all I ask for, mod authors. Limb dismemberment is still disabled, that kind of sucks, but at least this mod got something right. Everything's not all sunshine and roses though. Some of the apparel from this mod, notably the helmets, can prevent you from saving the game when equipped. This is a really annoying bug, and it's caused by a combination of this mod and the Overlay Framework. If you unload the Overlay Framework, you'll be able to save again, but obviously you'll lose your on-screen overlays. Another problem is several armors cause clipping with the Pip-Boy's screen. To fix this, you'll have to use a handheld Pip-Boy. If you can set aside these issues, you might find this to be the best mod on this list. 5th, we've got Sierra 117 Armor. This mod requires the Armor and Weapon Keywords community resource, unless you get a patch to remove that requirement. There's also a patch to make the mod look better with handheld Pip-Boys, but I don't think it's necessary. The first-person arms look fine without it. You can find a crate with the titular armor right next to Vault 111. You can also just craft the armor set at a chem lab. The armor looks great and has well-made 2K textures that don't look blurry until you get unreasonably close. There's not that much customization with the armor, mostly just visor effects, protective upgrades that aren't necessary because the armor is overpowered as hell, and choosing custom colors. I suppose there's only so much you can fit into a 35 megabyte mod. The armor disables limb dismemberment properly, and the helmet disappears upon decapitation, so I have no complaints there. I like this mod a lot. It only adds 1 armor set, but it's made reasonably well. I think Xbox users will find this mod especially useful since disk space is a valuable commodity there, and there aren't many Halo mods on Xbox. Next up is Mjolnir Mark 5B. This mod comes as loose files with plenty of 4K textures that will make the game stutter the first time you equip one of these armors. Anyways, to get started with this mod, you'll need to build a Mjolnir Mark 5B assembly station and Mjolnir Mark 5 modification station. The detail put into these Spartan armors is insane. I think it's worth a little bit of stuttering. Customization is great too. There's all sorts of different suit variants. There's swords and shit you can put on your back, different gloves, every part of the armor can be painted separately. It's nice. This mod supports visor overlays, but thankfully they're kept subtle, and the bug that prevents you from saving doesn't seem to occur with this mod, luckily. The armor is overpowered as hell, but at least it weighs 65 pounds, so you won't be doing much sneaking in it. Oh, never mind, I guess you will be. Dismemberment is fucked as normal, the helmet doesn't disappear, and limbs don't detach. I think this mod's best feature is the bubble shield, which works just like it did in Halo 3, blocking bullets and lasers from entering or exiting. Needless to say, it's incredibly useful in combat. Overall, I'm pretty positive about this mod, I like it a lot. 7th, we've got the semi-powered Infiltration Armor. To craft it, you need to build an SPI armor requisition station in a workshop area. The textures on this armor look very detailed, but the model just feels like it's too angular, too basic. It kind of looks like the first LOD level of a model instead of the highest detail level, if you know what I mean. I guess it's not that bad. Look at the scratches on the helmet, those look good. The visor overlay this mod comes with is extremely ugly and intrusive, and the armor clips straight through your Pip-Boy screen, which means you'll need a handheld Pip-Boy to use this mod too. I really wish you could turn off the HUD overlay, but the best you can do is change its color. Oh well. Dismemberment is typical, there's no limb dismemberment, and the helmet stays put after decapitation. There's lots of customization options in terms of camo patterns and cosmetic bits and bobs for this armor, so that's okay. You have to use an aid item to enable the stealth field feature of the SPI suit. I kind of wish it was just an on-crouch thing, but it's not. In the end, I'll be fair and say that this is the best mod I didn't recommend. It really isn't that bad, it could have been worse. Moving on, next is Rakshasa Armory. This is a huge mod at over 3 GB, and you'll need another 6 GB for its camouflage pack. You'll also need the Mark 5B Armory Redux mod, which is coming up next, for certain textures used at the field fabrication station. And yes, you'll need to build a field fabrication station to craft this mod's armors. The base armor set is pretty fucking badass looking. There's high-res 2K textures slathered over everything. The armor has optional knee pads, shoulder pads, chest rigs, utility belts, wrist guards, everything you could want. You can go nuts with personalization. You can give yourself a prosthetic arm and legs, a tactical tablet, whatever you want. Is this mod overpowered? Yes, especially if you use Type 5 materials. Does it really matter? No. Sadly, most of this mod's helmets don't cover the entire neck, making them a bad fit for combination with vanilla outfits. Wear them with this mod's armor though, and you'll be okay. Very typically, the base armor prevents limbs from being dismembered, and all helmets and modular armor pieces fail to disappear after dismemberment, leaving them floating. If you know enough about Halo to know what the hell Rakshasa Armor is, you'll likely love this mod. 9th, we've got the Mark 5B Armory Redux mod. To get the Mark 5B armor, you'll need to build a Mjolnir requisition station in a workshop area. Fuck, if you use all these mods together, you're gonna have a lot of crafting stations, huh? This mod is quite similar to the last. It has high quality 2K textures and an insane amount of customization. Dismemberment has exactly the same problems, so I won't dwell on that. However, unlike the last mod, this armor set can clip through the Pip-Boy screen, so you'll want to use a handheld Pip-Boy with this one. There's not much else to say. If you like to dress up your character as a Spartan, this is an excellent choice of mod. It's basically the same as the Rakshasa armor, but this is like the Master Chief armor, I think. I don't know anything. 10th, we have Mjolnir Powered Assault Platform. You can craft this puppy at a chem lab, but first you have to find a bunch of blue folders scattered around the Commonwealth. Or you can use this cheat command. Comparing this mod's quality to the rest, you'll realize that it doesn't look the best, but it's not completely terrible either. There is a lot of customization, but definitely not as much as the other Mjolnir-themed mods. This might actually be the most overpowered mod yet, since it has 0 weight, well over 1,000 physical and energy resistance, and can be upgraded further at no cost. This mod requires another mod called Walkman's Palettes as a dependency, and for some reason the colors are nondescript numbers, which makes it difficult to tell what color you're selecting for your armor. There is support for the overlays framework with this mod, and the overlays are reasonably non-intrusive. There's also no sign of the not being able to save bug, so that's good. Dismemberment is screwed, but that's no surprise. The Mjolnir helmet won't disappear on decapitation, and limbs stay attached as long as the suit is worn. This isn't a bad mod, but it doesn't do anything particularly well. If you're trying to make a Halo load order, you could skip over this one and not miss much. 11th, we've got the Mark 6 Gen 3 Powered Assault Armor. You can craft this armor and helmet at a chem lab. The textures on this suit look muddy and murky, which is strange since they use a 2K texture sheet. At a distance and in motion, they hold up alright, but they're even worse than the last mod I looked at, which already wasn't that good. This mod doesn't make you look like Master Chief, it makes you look like a melting plastic figurine of Master Chief. I can put up with that, but the severe lack of customization turns me off. There's pretty much nothing here but paint jobs and protective upgrades. Another problem is wearing this outfit gives you power armor footsteps, and they sound just like the double footsteps bug we all know and hate. As always with this suit, there's no limb dismemberment, and the helmet remains attached upon decapitation. The only positive thing I can say about this mod is the file size is very small, but the Sierra 117 armor is even smaller, and it looks better, and it has more customization options, so get that instead. Lastly, and I almost forgot to include this one, is UNSC Marine Corps BDU. You can craft this mod's apparel at a chem lab. It only adds 6 articles of clothing, but each one has a good amount of customization. 4 different camo colors, a bunch of cosmetic doodads, and armor plating are available. This might be the least overpowered mod on this list because the armor values aren't astronomically high, and you need at least some resources to make the best upgrades. The textures for the BDU and helmet look incredibly detailed, maybe a tad bit over-sharpened, while the cap and backpack look a lot worse, but still not bad at all. The least of these assets still looks better than the vanilla games outfits, that's for sure. The ballistic glasses have missing textures on their frames. There's a fix for it, but you need to re-download an entire 600 megabyte archive. That sucks. Dismemberment is disappointingly the exact same as just about every other mod here. The limbs don't come off, and the combat helmet and cap are left floating after decapitations. Overall, this is a pretty okay mod. Nothing too special, but it's good enough to recommend, I guess. Okay, I hope you somehow enjoyed this video. I'll try to cover a topic I know more about next time, and I'll try to make it a little less boring. Until then, toodles!